Knowing that was coming did not make it any easier. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back for another video for Last of Us Season 2, Episode 2, Through the Valley, which is a reference to the song that was sang throughout like the advertisements and promotions for Last of Us Part 2. And Ashley Johnson, of course, did her own version of it and everything. And oh my god, that episode, knowing what was coming, did not make any of it any easier. And then the addition of the attack of Jackson and the fall of Jackson, ultimately, with so many casualties and just utter chaos, death, and destruction all over the place. And just those, like I said, which we've had with the first episode, we had little tweaks and changes to what was going on with the events that unfolded. It was not Joel and Tommy out there scavenging, scouting, doing what they do. It was Joel and Dina. Fortunately for her, she was rendered unconscious and didn't have to witness it, but it played out exactly like the game, even with certain lines being said. And holy crap. But getting into the episode, I mean, I was hoping that they would change it, but at the same time, I knew they wouldn't do it because Joel's fate is what pushes the story forward. It's what makes Ellie go out on her mission in the first place, and just it gives the whole story meaning. And I can safely say, it was a tough pill to swallow, and it was just so hard to watch that I flash back to when I played the game, just the anger that just bubbled up and just disgust basically for how the story went, even though I understand completely that's how that story was going to play out all along. And so, jumping into the episode, we have just everything going on with Joel and Ellie, where they're still at odds, and kind of going back to what happened the night before at the dance with, I want to say his name was Seth or something like that. But we had this big town meeting because they had come to realize, or they'd had people out there on their scouting missions come across infected hiding under the corpses of other infected to kind of insulate them from the cold and everything. And that is exactly how the herd, the horde, whatever you want to call it, came upon Jackson and tore it down. For a minute there, it looked like they were going to succeed in pushing it out, but then we had the bloaters show up, tear right through that wall, and it was just chaos and destruction from then on out, and just so heartbreaking to see Jackson go through this. We have people hiding in their basements and everything. So many people lost their lives defending that place. And then we have the B story, of course, or the A story, I guess, just depending how you look at it. But with the main story that is the second game, it played out exactly how it did in the game, aside from Dina being there instead of Tommy. And it was just so hard to watch, knowing what was coming, knowing how it was going to play out. It was just, it was rough for the most part. And just, the most I could say, and just it was definitely something that was hard to sit through for a second time, because since that game came out back in 2020, I have not played that game through a second time because I couldn't sit through that scene again. And tonight I sat through it, and I just feel sorry for all the people that didn't know it was coming. And with the ultimate meeting up of Abby and Joel, playing out exactly how it did the game, he rescues her from that collapsing fence. They want to go back to Jackson, but Abby says, "Hey, this lodge that we've been holed up in with my friends is right over here. It's a few minutes away or whatever." And it's the middle of this giant snowstorm. And of course, they get there. She reveals to her group who he is, and it just goes downhill from there. Just like you could feel the tone of the episode just automatically shift into what was coming. And it played out exactly how I thought it would, and exactly how it did in the game for the most part, with Joel getting that shotgun to the leg and then being disabled, and they try to tourniquet it, and she goes on to torture him from there, beating him to death, and ultimately taking the broken end of the golf club and jamming it in his neck. It was so hard to watch, and more so because, yes, Dina was thankfully unconscious for this after the relationship that she had built with Joel over, the course of the 5 years and everything, kind of being another one of his kids. Whereas Ellie is once again pinned down, forced to watch this. And during the whole process of this, where it's her and Joel's just like, just do it, quit talking and just do it. And she says that line, and I just immediately jump back to when I was playing the game where she says, "You don't get to rush this." And oh god, it was just right there. It put a big old ball in my stomach, and just knowing what was coming, knowing that they weren't going to change a single thing. But I was hopeful, wishful thinking, whatever you want to call it. I was hoping that they would tweak it a little bit to maybe where Joel doesn't die. Maybe they think he's dead. Maybe they take him prisoner or just something like that. But I knew it couldn't do that in order to push Ellie's story forward. And then once they get back and tell Tommy, I mean, holy crap, we're going to see this whole other side of him. And to top it all off, the episode closing out with the song Through the Valley, sang by, I believe, Ashley Johnson. Because as I mentioned, she did her own cover of that because it was a part of the advertising and promotion for Last of Us Part 2. And just hearing it again and after the events, and then seeing Ellie and Jesse and Dina dragging Joel's lifeless body behind a horse, taking him back to Jackson to be put to rest after the chaos of what's gone on there. It was very much it was just a lot to process in this episode, seeing how they launched this attack on Jackson. More or less, Abby's about like 80% to blame for that, considering she falls down that mountainside and awakens all of these things. And then they discover the tendrils are actually growing in the pipes like we had first seen in the last episode. And man, it's just, I don't know what to do with this. Like, I'm angry at it all over again from when I played the game. Like, I almost don't want to watch the rest of the season, but I'm going to watch it, of course, because there's just always the hope that they change a couple of different things. I won't, go into the end of the game or anything, but just, man, it was just definitely a rough one to watch. And it was good nonetheless, but it might end up taking its place with the game where I probably will never watch that episode ever again. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed my breakdown and my thoughts about the episode. If you did, be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, consider subscribing, tell me what you think, and I will see you later. Take care. Bye.